Michael Semeka here, and I'm going to go over the accountability pyramid with you right now. It's something that I created and developed many years ago. You'll find it inside of the book, The Guardian Within. There are 10 levels of guardian mastery, and that last level of guardian mastery is called right action. And within right action is this accountability pyramid. And the whole concept of the guardian within is that there is a guardian archetype within you. And so I developed guardianology, which is the study of the guardian archetype. And this was an important component to the work emerging as well as it did all these years ago. Anyway, going into the accountability pyramid, what I propose is that we never, ever, ever, ever purely relate to events. So there's an event, and there's not just an event, because there is a perspective. What is your perspective? There's also perception. Perception is awareness. How good is your awareness? How good is your clarity? Are you seeing clearly? Are you seeing through a filter? Are you seeing through muddy eyes? Are you seeing clearly? So are you really perceiving the event clearly? Okay, that would be perception, awareness. That's big. Then there's perspective. What's your perspective? Are you seeing a 40,000-foot view of it? Are you seeing, you can't see the forest for the tree? Is it tunnel vision? Are you looking underneath the elephant? Are you looking the front of the elephant, the side of the elephant? If you report on the elephant, depending on your perspective, you'll report on it differently. Okay, so there's that. So perception, perspective. Then we get into interpretation. What is your interpretation of your perspective? Then there's your reaction. Well, you're probably reacting to your interpretation. So you wouldn't have a reaction that's that negative if you weren't interpreting it some way, quickly, spontaneously, almost autonomically. Imagine that. Hence why we call it a reaction. So your reaction is based on your interpretation, based on your perspective of your perception of the event. And this is why I call it the accountability pyramid, is because the very top of the pyramid is the event. That's pristine. That's perfect. It's the very top. It's like, that's it. That's as high as you can get, the event. Well, can you let an event just be an event? Probably not, because there's so many different ways that you could perceive that event. And then we don't even know if you're seeing it through cloudy eyes, if you're seeing it clearly. So let's just review. There's an event, the top of the pyramid. Then as you move down the pyramid, obviously it gets wider. It starts like this and then it gets like that. And so once you leave the event itself and you go into perception, like what is your perception? How clear are you? And then your perspective, what's the vantage point? And then your interpretation, how are you interpreting this? And then your reaction, what's your reaction? And then there's your relationship to your reaction. Wow, you're actually having a relationship to your reaction. And even if you're not reacting, you're actually having a relationship to your interpretation. Imagine that. That would be a really good thing. If you can have a relationship to your interpretation, and your interpretation is of the highest order, which is causing you to not react. It's causing you to see it in its purest light, as high as you could possibly see it. And then after you have a relationship to something, a relationship to your own reaction, to your own interpretation, then, which is the lowest level at the bottom of the pyramid, which is really sad, but it's the thing, and we all do it. It's justification. We look for evidence procedures, NLP calls it. We look to justify our relationship to our reaction, to our interpretation of our perspective, of our perception of the event. And so we never really relate to events. We're so busy relating to so many layers in that accountability pyramid. We're not just relating purely. We may be relating to our reaction. We may be relating to our interpretation. We may be relating to our perception or our perspective. And so don't justify your reaction. Don't justify how bad things are because you can. That's just so unaccountable. You're really, really being accountable. You have to understand that you're really relating to yourself. And that's so sad. Your own perspective, your own interpretation, your own relation, all of that. So, yeah, interpret well. How about that? Tell greater stories. That's interpretation. And then also, if you are reacting, own it. Go to the higher brain. Go to the prefrontal cortex. Go to the creative brain. Have a good relationship with things that show up organically, by the way, which includes your reaction. Like if you're reacting, that shows up organically. Be gentle with yourself. Be gentle with your reaction. Don't justify it. Don't look to justify it. Look to learn from it. If you have dry mouth, drink the water. If you're reacting, be responsible. That's responsible. Respond. Because if you're responding instead of being reacting, you're actually in the higher brain, because reaction is the animal brain. It's the primitive brain. It's just a reaction. It's not very conscious. It's not very mindful. So be gentle with yourself while you're catching yourself being reactive, but drink the water. Be responsive. Start to respond, which means what? Interpret it well. Interpret it really well. Give it a purpose, and then see it from different perspectives. This is where archetypes come in. See it from different sets of eyes, and then try as you can to see things as clearly as you possibly can, which means you have to clear the mechanism. You have to stop. You have to open. You have to literally get all the noise out of your head, especially the stinking thinking or the monkey mind, so that events can just be events. And then you, continually emerging you, can handle events like a boss, because you can. And you can do it better with this work. And you can see that. This is why I'm insatious about creating this stuff. And I'm going to keep creating it. And I'm going to keep educating you about them. And all of these little education clips, they're just offerings for you to consider. And you can consider these or not in your time or not. And that's cool too. And I trust that you'll do so within the integrity of your process. But I hope you're constantly aiming higher and expecting more of yourself, and that you continue to grow and embrace your greaterness and continue to allow yourself to have a greaterness because you have one, and then gently work on continually improving on yourself in every area of your life for all the hats you wear, because then you're actually tapping your infinite abilities. You're playing the infinite game instead of the finite game. There are so many versions of you out there. Be accountable to them all. Let them all see the light of day, and you will handle life, all events, like a boss. Again, I'm Dr. Michael Someka. Create a great day.